Hello, everyone. Welcome to Read the Smokies, a new regular column here on Smokies Live. My name is Michelle Sons, and I'm an avid member of Smokies Life and a professional photographer who loves to shoot in the Smokies. The Smokies Life creative team has produced some of my personal favorite books, and I'm excited to share my thoughts on some of those with you as part of this new series. So today I want to tell you about the newest publication from Smokies Life, and that's George Masa, A Life Reimagined, by Janet McHugh, a Cornell University librarian, and Paul Bonesteel, a documentary filmmaker. So have you ever picked up a book, started reading, and quickly sensed this magnetic connection with the pages, as though they were telling parts of your own story? I haven't felt that often in my life, perhaps just a handful of times, but it was absolutely the case when I began reading George Masa, A Life Reimagined. In parts of George Masa's story, I saw parts of my own, which made it a very compelling read for me. A biography. This book tells the story of George Masa, who was a Japanese photographer who was instrumental in the formation of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. He arrived in this country in the early 1900s as a mysterious outsider with a real passion for the outdoors and for visual storytelling. And he would eventually make his way to the Appalachian Mountains, settling in the city of Asheville. And it was there that he honed his skills in the field of photography and established himself with a network of very influential contemporaries. He spent much of his time outdoors on the trail, measuring. He had this quirky instrument. It was like a bicycle wheel with handles that he wheeled in front of him on the trail. That helped him take measurements, which in turn helped him to map the mountains. And of course, while he was out there, he was also photographing the beauty he was surrounded by. And as the national park movement gained ground in the East, Masa joined forces with Horace Kephart, who you may have heard of, as well as many others, and fiercely advocated for the establishment of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. His story is inextricably bound to Kephart's, and the authors, McHugh and Bonesteel, have been researching this story for years. You may be familiar with another book by Janet McHugh. That's The Back of Beyond, a Horace Kephart biography. That's also published by Smokies Life. Or you may have seen the 2002 Paul Bonesteel film, The Mystery of George Masa. I've seen that. It was a very interesting documentary. And also interesting is forthcoming from Bonesteel is an updated documentary film on Masa's story, which incorporates many of the details uncovered in the research for this book. And I'm greatly looking forward to the release of that updated documentary. So George Masa's story is certainly complex, and many of the details have been elusive and largely unknown. But in this book, the authors do a beautiful job they meticulously researched his background to fill in many of the missing details. And they regale us with a much more complete story than we've known before. They went to great lengths to uncover additional texture and details, including traveling to Japan. And the book helps us understand some of the whys behind his emigration to the United States, helps us see some of the remarkable difficulties that he faced here as a Japanese immigrant, and really illustrates the depths of his connection to these mountains. I also felt that the book offered potential explanations for why Masa may have felt such a profound connection with these mountains. So that was really interesting to me. I loved the book. His story gives me another way to feel connected to the Smokies, to one of my favorite places in the world, and it enriches my experience of the place. So I loved it for that reason. And I also found it inspiring. You know, it inspires me to find new ways to use my own work to advocate for Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Inside, you'll find plenty of beautiful photographs. There's some lovely glossy plates showing some of George Masa's photographs of the Smokies, but also of Western North Carolina, where he lived. And of course, there are photos of George himself. Sorry for that glare there. As well as many of the people he worked with in his advocacy work. I did feel that the book demonstrates the value of an outsider's perspective, and that's essentially a perspective that can become both a profound declaration of belonging and a critical instrument of conservation, transforming threatened forests into beloved and protected homeland. So that was another aspect of his story that I particularly enjoyed. I wanted to read one or two of the reviews from inside the book here so you can get an idea of what others thought of the book. Ken Wise, who is the author of Hiking Trails in the Great Smoky Mountains, says, "A stunning biography of George Masa that chronicles the rise of a mysterious Japanese photographer to a place in the pantheon of iconic figures in the history of the Great Smoky Mountains." And from Bruce E. Johnson, a historian, "A skillfully researched, riveting tale of hardships and tragedy, scandals and heartbreaks, all defied by George Masa's mantra, never surrender." So some nice reviews there. I highly recommend it as a gift for your loved ones this holiday season, or as a gift to yourself anytime at all. You can find the book in the main park bookstores run by Smokies Life, and you can also find it online at smokieslife.org. And I wanted to finish with warm thanks to the authors, Janet McHugh and Paul Bonesteel, and also to Smokies Life, for bringing this more complete story into the world at large, and particularly for bringing it into my own life and enriching my experience of this place. Also want to thank George Masa for helping us to see the value of these mountains before it was too late, and for protecting their treasures for generations to come. So I hope you found that review helpful. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you down the road into 2025 here on Read the Smokies with more fascinating reads from Smokies Life. So until then, bye-bye, everyone.